I've come to Germany to test drive the new Audi RS7 because I want to find out, as I bet you do, whether it's as good as a Porsche Panamera Turbo or a Mercedes-AMG GT 4-door. And in order to do that, I'm going to talk you through what Audi has done to the exterior styling to make it stand out over the normal A7. Come on Mercedes, you want some? Point out the interior upgrades. It's got arse mode. See what the performance is like. Oh, that's brutal. Tell you what's not so good about it. Ugh, greasy. And of course, poke it with a stick. Oh! Before we get into the review though, make sure you're subscribed to the channel and hit that bell icon to turn your notifications on so you're alerted when we make a new upload. Alright then, let's kick off this review by talking about the design upgrades over the normal RS7, and there's no better place to start than these exhaust pipes, which are the largest fitted to any RS. Of course, being an RS, they are oval, but if I look in there, there are two actual exhaust pipes within there, and I can see the flap from one. Ooh, flaps on view. Then there's the rear bumper design, completely new for the RS, more aggressive. There's some fake honeycomb shit going on there, but the rest of it looks cool. Obviously, you've got an RS7 badge to denote which model this is. Down the sides, look at these wheel arches. They're so pronounced. It's so aggressive looking. Also, 21-inch alloys are standard. That you can upgrade to 22s, which I believe these are, because it says on the tyre. Down the sides there, you've got some pronounced side skirts with some black carbon inlays as well. The car actually sits lower to the ground than the normal A7. I mean, the bits that are carried over from the normal A7 are the bonnet, roof, boot lid and doors. The rest of it, all new. And at the front, you've got a new RS bumper, and it is pretty blooming aggressive. Big vents, big scoops. Look at the bottom, the splitter. You've got a black honeycomb grille as well. There's none of that kind of metallic effect on there like the normal A7. You've got this extra bit here, these vents to feed air in. Do they feed air in? Yes, they do actually feed air in. Look, it's connected to the air intakes for the engine. It's not lies. Oh, thank God for that. Also, the RS7 gets the upgraded matrix LED headlamps, so you don't dazzle other drivers, and they do a cool little dance when you turn the car off and on. The overall theme of this car is that it just looks pretty freaking scary. Here on the inside of the RS7, there are some more upgrades. Most notable are these RS Sport seats, so integrated headrests. So you've got Valcona leather, which is nice and soft. You've got red stitching on them with a honeycomb pattern. They're ventilated as well as heated, and obviously they're electrical as well. And I must say, they are comfy. You have an RS Sport steering wheel with a flat bottom. Oh yes, look, instead of the usual nasty plastic gear paddles, they are solid aluminium. Nice work. I also like the fact that you get RS carpets with a huge RS logo. That's nice as well. And then there's red stitching here and about the place as well, like on the gear selector. You've got bespoke RS sports displays with stuff like G meter, and you can actually change it to an RS performance, which has a slightly different look to it. The heads-up display also has bespoke RS dials as well. And when you see a graphic of the car on the infotainment screens, it's the RS model, not the normal A7. Hey guys, sorry for interrupting the video, but I wanted to tell you about a fabulous opportunity. CarWow is offering you the chance to invest. For as little as £10, you can invest in CarWow, which is not only this rather awesome YouTube channel, but a whole car buying platform in the UK, Germany and Spain. If you click on the pop-out banner just up there in the top right-hand corner of the screen, or follow the link in the description, you can find out more about how you can own part of this channel and business and share in our future success, and I guess sort of be one of my bosses. Now don't hang about, this offer is limited and you don't want to miss out. Anyway, thanks for listening and on with the video. In the back seats, it's pretty much A7 business as usual, which means decent amount of knee room, but headroom is a bit tight. Look at that. People over 6 foot will find it a bit cramped, but there are some RS upgrades yet again. You've got RS sport seats, and for the first time ever on an RS7, you can have a 3-seater bench rather than just 2 individual chairs. Added practicality. And of course, I love this bit. Look, we've got some red piping on the seat belt, so sporty yet secure. Oh. There is quite literally nothing RC about this car's boot. It's exactly the same as a normal A7, so slightly bigger than a Porsche Panamera Turbos and an AMG GT 4-doors, and it's filled with all our crap, including the cameraman's sandwich wrapper. Yeah, I'm in Germany, it doesn't matter, and they could actually do with a bit of litter. It's just, you know, a bit weirdly clean. Don't worry, it's just a joke. Of course, I'll pick it up. I'll do it now. Now we need to talk about the price, because this car obviously isn't cheap. Yeah, you can save money by clicking on the pop-out banner in the top right-hand corner of the screen to go to Car Wow, but it's still going to be quite expensive because the list price is going to be around £100,000. And that's before you've fitted any options, and you'll probably spend an extra 10 grand at least on some of those. And that brings me on to 5 annoying things about the Audi RS7. I quite like I can go on, but you know, if you're eating crisps, I'm done it. And then put some steering all that. And end up with greasy marks that you can never get out. Let's say you paid extra for the upgraded sports exhaust. You're going to want other people to be able to appreciate how good this car can sound. So you're going to rev it at traffic lights. Only when you try to do that, it's not as good as you expect, because listen. For safety reasons, there is a soft limiter. Stops you having that kind of fun. Audi's made this car a little bit like one of those supposedly free apps for your mobile phone, when you end up having to pay extra to unlock some features. For instance, as standard, the car will do 155 miles an hour. Pay a bit more and it will do 174 miles an hour. Pay a bit more still and they'll let it do the full possible 190 miles an hour. Yes, it's all just software and nothing extra is added to the car, but you have to pay more. Now you might be able to see that the car's engine is actually slightly in front of the front axle, which isn't ideal for handling because it can promote understeer. Now that won't matter to most people most of the time, apart from when your annoying mate with the BMW N car points it out to you and you end up having to go, oh, f off. Let's be honest, why would you have an RS7 when you can have an RS6, which actually looks cooler and is more practical? Am I wrong? Do you disagree with me? Click on the pop-out banner up there to cast your vote which you would rather have, the RS7 or the RS6. Actually, I don't give a toss what you think, it's still a bad. Thankfully, this car has plenty of cool features to help make up for all this. Here's 5. The RS's wheels are pushed 20mm outwards on each side over the A7, and that means its track is 40mm wider, which improves handling. The car gets special RS Sports air suspension as standard. It sits 20mm lower to the ground than the standard A7's air suspension, which is optional by the way. And when you go over 74 miles an hour, it drops a further 10mm lower for less drag. For the first time ever, you get 2 configurable RS modes, so you can set up things like the suspension, the steering, and all that kind of stuff into these different settings, and then you can flick between them very quickly by a special RS mode button on the steering wheel. Can't really think where Audi got the idea for that from. The uprated RS performance brakes have 10 piston calipers. 10 pistons! That's more than the blooming engine. Also, if you upgrade to the carbon ceramics, then you actually save weight, 34 kilograms on the whole car, and that's unsprung mass, which will improve the handling. Finally then, we come to the engine. It's a 4-litre twin-turbo V8, 600 horsepower, 800 newton meters of torque, and it also has 48-volt mild hybrid technology, so when you lift off the throttle, it can actually just cut off the engine and cruise to save fuel. Or if you're just pootling along the motorway, it will run on 4 cylinders instead of 8. Now it drives all 4 wheels through an 8-speed torque converter automatic gearbox, which has been tuned for sportiness. That can send up to 85% of the power to the rear wheels, and you've also got a Sport Quattro rear differential to move the power around between the rear wheels for optimum cornering. I want to see just how quick this car is, so I'm going to measure it, and I can do that using their onboard trick computer. So I can do acceleration measurement, and then we're good to go. 0 to 100 kilometers, 0 to 62 miles an hour. But I'm not going to trust Audi's equipment for reasons. So I've got my own data logging equipment up here, so I'll be using that as well to vouch the time and that time. Right, I'm going to put the car into RS2 mode, where I have everything in maximum attack, all super simple. Then all I have to do is launch it. Oh, that's brutal. And that is it. So the lap timer says 0 to 100 kilometers an hour, 0 to 62 in 3.5 seconds. My proper data logging equipment says it did it in 3.4 seconds. So there you go. What a quick car. Faster than they say it is on paper, and even their little trick computer says it is. Surely having a car with this much performance will cost loads to run. Well, not necessarily, as we'll discover now with a bit of car wow science to find out how much fuel it uses at different speeds. So I want a piece of de-restricted Autobahn. I'm cruising along at 120 kilometres an hour. You know, it's about 70 miles an hour, and I'm averaging 9.4 litres, 9.3 litres per 100 kilometres. How much is that, Jack, in miles per gallon?
30.
30 miles per gallon. That's pretty good. Now what I'm going to do is reset the trick computer and accelerate up to a higher speed. So I'm cruising along at about 160 kilometres an hour, and I'm doing 15.3 litres per 100 kilometres. So what's that?
18.
18 miles per gallon. Let's push on. Okay, so now we're cruising at about 230 kilometres an hour, which is about 140 mile an hour, and we're doing 20 litres per 100 kilometres.
14 miles to the gallon.
I will take that to halve my journey time any day. Yeah, German Autobahn rules. But does the RS also deliver when you're not going in a straight line? Let's find out. Here comes a twisty road. Whack the gearbox in manual. See what this thing is like. Yeah, strong engine. Get it on the brakes. It's quite brutal, the gear change, when you're doing it manual and you've got the car in full attack mode. Steering sharp, accurate, if a little bit lifeless. But my God, this thing hauls ass. Without doubt, it's a very quick point-to-point car, but there's not the same level as what motoring journalists like to rattle on about involvement as you get with an AMG GT 4-door or a BMW M5. There's just not. Also, the gear changes, when you're really on it, they do whack you in the back, but they feel a little bit clumsy. The dual clutch PDK gearbox you get in a Porsche Panamera Turbo is just more precise, it has more finesse, and it's just quicker. But do you know what? RS buyers are slightly different. They want a car that, yeah, can be super quick when you need it to be, but also is just super easy to live with every day. So what is it like for just mooching about in this car? So I'm driving over some paving which would normally be quite bumpy, and I'm riding on 22-inch alloy wheels, but this air suspension in comfort mode is doing a marvellous job. It's just like I'm pootling around in a normal A7. The steering's light, everything's just easy. It's quiet in here as well. Lovely. But you know, this is quite a long car, isn't it? So what happens if you want to make a U-turn? Oh, I'd really like to go up that way, but it looks very tight. I can't possibly make it round. Wait a minute. That was far too easy. What's all that about? Well, it's because this car comes as standard with rear wheel steering. So when you're going slowly, it turns the back wheels in the opposite direction to the front wheels to make you do tight turns. So when you're going faster, the back wheels go in the same direction as the fronts for added stability. Oh, it just makes this car easier to live with yet again. And that sports exhaust in comfort mode is suitably muted. You won't annoy your neighbours. So then, what's my final verdict on the new Audi RS7? Well, I like it. It doesn't feel quite as in-your-face sporty as the bombastic AMG GT 4-door, and the gearbox isn't as good as that in the Porsche Panamera Turbo, though I do prefer the look of it than the Porsche. I think the real problem with this car, though, is the fact that the RS6 looks better, and being an estate, it is more practical. So I would have one of those instead. I haven't driven one yet, but I'm pretty sure I would. Actually, do you know what? I'm trying to get one out of Audi, and I'm mounting a campaign to convince them to let me have one. So comment below, Audi, give Matt an RS6, and together we'll get one on the channel.